Welcome to another deep dive with us. This time we're cracking open Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Oh, yeah, classic. Packed with insights on connecting with people. Still relevant today.
Totally. Makes you think, how much has really changed?
Right. The core stuff, the human stuff, that's timeless. We still crave connection, want to feel understood.
Definitely. Though I gotta admit, sometimes I struggle with that. Understanding other people's views. I mean, especially when I feel strongly about something.
Well, that's where Carnegie comes in. Right from the get-go, he's like, look, got to grasp the other person's viewpoint. And to really drive it home, he uses Two-Gun Crowley, the gangster. Even facing execution, Crowley wouldn't take any blame.
Wow, talk about an extreme example.
But it highlights something, how we justify our own actions, even when they're messed up.
I see his point. We all do that to some degree,
Yeah.
probably.
Probably. But contrast that with Lincoln, right? Master of connection. Carnegie tells this story. Lincoln's furious with General Meade after a missed opportunity in the Civil War. Initially, he lets Meade have it, but then takes a step back.
So what happened?
Lincoln realizes his own frustration. It blinded him to Meade's perspective. Owns up to his misjudgment.
Powerful stuff. Even great leaders make mistakes. But it's that willingness to own it, see the other side, that sets them apart.
Exactly. And that ties into another biggie. Carnegie emphasizes the human need to feel important.
Not ego important, right?
No, deeper than that. The need to be appreciated, respected, valued for who we are.
Recognizing everyone's worth, basically.
Exactly. Understanding that need, it can transform how you approach people. Like this story, Stan Novak, a dad struggling to get his son pumped for kindergarten. Lectures, threats, nothing works.
Kindergarten, that's a tough one.
Right. But the Novak shifts focus, asks, what does my son want? Fun, friends. Turns prep into a game. Boom, resistance gone.
Clever. Works for adults too, I bet.
Absolutely. And Carnegie gives us some practical techniques for this making others feel important thing.
Lay it on me.
One simple, remember names. He points to Napoleon III, super meticulous about remembering everyone he met.
Shows you care, right? You're not just a face in the crowd.
Precisely. Another one, be a good listener. He's got this funny story, dinner party, he barely speaks, just listens to this botanist go on and on about plants. Guess what? Botanist praises him afterwards for being such a great conversationalist.
No way. So sometimes just shutting up and listening is the best thing.
It can be. Shows you value their words, their thoughts. And here's another, talk in terms of their interests. Salesman, years trying to land this client, finally asks about his hobbies, boom, connection made, deal closed.
Fascinating. Small tweaks, big impact.
Huge, moving the focus from me to them.
I'm getting a lot out of this already.
Good. Now get ready for this. Carnegie tackles how to get people to see things your way, and he starts by saying, arguments are pointless.
Whoa, hold on. I like a good debate.
He gets it, but argues they rarely change minds, mostly just damage relationships. Uses this darkly funny story, William J. died maintaining his right-of-way.
I feel that. Sometimes you win the battle but lose the war.
Exactly. So what's the alternative? Carnegie lays out principles for persuasion way more effective than bulldozing someone.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
First up, begin in a friendly way. Story about this tax inspector determined to penalize him. But Carnegie's genuine appreciation disarms the guy. They find a solution.
Kindness for the win. Seeing a pattern here. Understanding, connection. That's key.
You got it. He also says, respect opinions, never say they're wrong directly. Even uses a customer service rep, diffusing tension by admitting company errors.
Yeah.
Builds trust,
Makes sense. Nobody wants to be attacked.
Right. Then there's dramatizing your ideas. Salesman, talking lost revenue, throws pennies on the floor to illustrate visual impact.
Memorable for sure.
Right. And speaking of memorable, challenge people, appeals to their competitive spirit. Uses Theodore Roosevelt, challenged to run for governor, wasn't even a legal resident, but that challenge, it fueled him.
Playing into that need to feel important again. Clever.
They're catching on. Lastly, start with praise, appreciation. Supervisor praises young printer, work wasn't great, but that praise, it sparks improvement in attitude, quality.
Belief in someone can work wonders.
Totally. And here's a parting thought from Carnegie. The only way to get the best of an argument is to avoid it.
So focus on rapport, common ground. This is resonating with me big time.
Good. It's about understanding people, realizing empathy is way more effective, but we've only scratched the surface. Up next, Carnegie's principles for becoming a leader who inspires.
Can't wait. All right, back for more Carnegie wisdom. Leadership this time, huh? That's a big one.
Huge. And Carnegie doesn't disappoint. Packed with advice on becoming a leader that inspires, motivates people.
Yeah, that's the key, isn't it? Not just bossing people around.
Exactly. It's about influence, guidance. And one of the trickiest parts, giving feedback. People get defensive so easily.
Oh, tell me about it. I know I do. Does Carnegie address that, like how to give feedback that actually works?
Oh yeah, big time. First thing he says, talk about your own mistakes before criticizing others.
Oof, that's tough. But I guess it makes sense, putting yourself on the same level.
It's humbling, for sure, but powerful. He even admits he struggled with it, tells the story about criticizing his niece, then realizing, hang on, I'm being a hypocrite here.
Uh-huh. We've all been there.
Right, nobody's perfect, but acknowledging that, it builds trust, disarms the other person.
Instead of coming in all high and mighty, it's like, hey, I mess up too.
Exactly, creates more open environment for feedback. Then he talks about asking questions instead of giving orders.
Oh, interesting. So let's do this more. What do you think about?
Exactly. He points to Owen D. Young, big-time businessman, known for offering suggestions, not commands, gave people space to think for themselves.
Encourages ownership, initiative, all that good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And it builds shared responsibility. Then there's this, letting the other person save face.
Oh, man, I had a boss once, totally threw me under the bus in front of everyone. Wish he'd known about that principle.
Tough situation. Carnegie uses Charles Steinmetz, brilliant engineer, struggling as department head at GE. Instead of firing him, they create a new position. Consulting engineer plays to his strengths.
Smart move. Acknowledges the problem, but finds a solution that works for everyone.
Exactly. Preserves his dignity, reputation. Carnegie's all about win-win solutions. Then he throws this curveball, give the other person a fine reputation to live up to.
Now that's interesting. How does that work?
He tells this story about a dentist, compliments his charwoman on her cleaning, even though it was average at best. Next day, the office is sparkling.
So setting a high expectation, almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
It's like planting a seed, Give them a positive label, they strive to live up to it.
Much better than constantly pointing out flaws. Builds confidence.
Exactly. And along those lines, he says, make the fault seem easy to correct. So instead of dwelling on the problem...
Focus on the solution. Makes sense.
Right. Like this piano teacher wants her student to trim her nails. Instead of criticizing, she casually mentions how much easier it is to play with short nails.
Subtle but effective.
Totally. Frames it as helpful advice, not a criticism. And the student, happy to oblige.
I'm seeing the theme here. It's about understanding, motivating, not controlling.
You got it. And finally, Carnegie says, make the other person happy about doing the thing you suggest.
That's a tall order sometimes.
It can be. But he gives some techniques. Appeal to their ego, their desire for recognition, accomplishment.
Tapping into their internal motivation, basically.
Exactly. Like this salesman convinces his client to hear him out again by saying, you're too smart to have missed my brilliant pitch the first time.
Ha-ha. Little flattery goes a long way.
It worked. Client's ego boosted, happy to give him another chance.
Fascinating stuff. This leadership section is gold.
Pure gold. And it all boils down to understanding people, what makes them tick. Then you can lead with empathy, inspire them to be their best.
This deep dive has given me so much to think about. How I interact with everyone, at work, at home, everywhere.
That's the goal. But wait, there's more. Next up, we're tackling Carnegie's shortcut to distinction, how it all ties together.
Can't wait. All right, final part of our Carnegie deep dive. As we've been talking about all this, it's really hit me how much depth there is to this book.
Yeah, it's not just surface level stuff. Carnegie, he really did his homework.
Right, years studying successful people, figuring out what made them tick, and not just theorizing. He actually taught this stuff.
Oh yeah, his courses were huge. Thousands of people, all walks of life, learning how to connect better, speak more effectively.
Speaks to that universal desire, right?
Yeah.
We all want to be better communicators, build stronger relationships.
It's a core human need, that connection.
For sure. So let's talk about that shortcut to distinction you mentioned. Sounds kind of mysterious.
Well, in the intro, Lowell Thomas lays it out. Carnegie's argument is being able to speak well, it's a powerful tool for success, for recognition, all of it.
Makes sense. Think about any great leader, they're usually captivating speakers too.
Exactly. And Carnegie believed anyone could learn to speak confidently, persuasively. That's where his courses came in, providing that structure, that safe space to practice.
Overcoming those fears, a lot of people have those.
Huge hurdle for many. So in his courses, he emphasized key things. Preparation, knowing your audience, speaking with passion.
Solid foundation for sure.
Oh yeah, and storytelling. Using anecdotes, examples to make your message stick.
Like he does in the book, right? Those stories, they really bring the points home.
Powerful technique, for sure. But Carnegie, he also believed it goes beyond just a polished presentation. It's got to be genuine, connect with people on a deeper level.
Not just speaking at them, but with them.
Exactly, understanding their needs, what motivates them, it all circles back, to those principles we've been talking about.
Yeah, it's all connected.
Yeah.
Making people feel valued, focusing on them, building relationships, not just trying to win.
It's about inspiring, not just commanding, and remembering everyone wants to feel important, appreciated.
It's amazing how it all fits together. This deep dive, it's given me so much to think about.
Me too. We've covered a lot, but gotta leave you with something. Think about a recent interaction where things maybe didn't go so well. How could you have used one of Carnegie's principles to change the outcome?
Ooh, that's a good one to ponder. Sometimes it's the smallest things, a smile, a kind word, just really listening.
Those small things, they can make all the difference. We all have the power to make positive change, one interaction at a time.
Well said. And if you want to dive deeper into this, how to win friends and influence people, it's a must read.
Dad.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone. Until next time.